What's happening, guys? Welcome to a new episode of Jester Radio. A guest that has seen me with my shirt off. Actually, a lot of people have seen me with my shirt off, so I guess that doesn't even count. Sean Levitt, thank you so much for coming through, bro.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Of course, you, photographer, businessman, you have competed as well. I don't know are you going to compete again?
Oh no, gosh. So, I mean, obviously a few years ago I competed way back in the day. I felt that competing was sort of taking away from fitness and taking away from, me enjoying it. I found myself at the gym comparing myself to other guys instead of just focusing on what I enjoy. So definitely competing's off the cards for me. I'll potentially do photo shoots and stuff like that. But I don't think competing's on the card for me, but definitely where the passion started for me, yeah.
And in terms of your passion for photography, because obviously everybody pretty much knows you for your photography and your work with Juiced Media and, your work with amazing athletes. I mean, it's almost like you fine-tune who you select to almost take photos of. It's not just every average Joe who, obviously I don't want to say looks bad, but, in terms of the fitness aspect.
Yeah.
And the fitness world, what they see as obviously attractive, that's who you mainly shoot with, is the people that you almost curate what the fitness industry finds attractive and you shoot with those people. It's not just your every random Joe that just, even if it's people that are going to pay you, it's not like you'll just shoot them.
Yeah, okay. So I think a general misconception is that I only shoot professional fitness models, which I don't feel is particularly correct. I enjoy all types of photography. I've shot everything from like portraits to lifestyle to food photography, whatever it might be. And for me, I just enjoy lighting things and enjoy the challenge of something new. So in terms of who I shoot, I think it just comes down to who I use to promote myself, because I've shot everyone from their first photo shoots to, international influencers. But I generally use like the top athletes to promote myself. And of late, I've really tried to push myself a little bit out of the fitness industry. I want to shoot all types of people. And like for me, I just feel like everyone associates me with fitness. And like it even happened to me today where the client's like, oh yeah, I don't look like the fitness models that you shoot and stuff. I'm like, chill. Like I can work with everyone. And it's just at the end of the day, if you can light a photo and you can edit it well, you can shoot anyone, you know what I mean? Obviously the posing comes into it a bit, but as a fitness photographer, you know how to portray someone's body in the best way possible.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's just you marketing yourself through social media,
exactly,
and it's portray and putting up those photos of the fitness people, because that at the end of the day it does help your brand grow a lot more.
100%. I mean, and that for me, like any photographer starting out, I think the easiest way to make yourself look better is to shoot good looking people, because it's hard to make someone like an average Joe look phenomenal, but someone that looks phenomenal and just capturing them the same way you capture another person immediately is going to raise the quality of your photos. And that's something I learned very early on, is that I pick and choose the people that I use to promote myself. And I think that obviously came from my graphic design and marketing background. And I utilize those people to my maximum ability. And that's sort of where I got the niche from, that I just shoot fitness photography.
How did this all start? Was it just a passion? Were you young and you got a camera as a gift? Or?
I mean, that would be a beautiful story. But no. So I started university and I did graphic design, and that was a 3-year degree. And each year I had 1 semester of photography. And believe it or not, in my 3rd year of my degree, when I was supposed to be graduating, I actually almost failed photography. I got I think it was 43% or something. And
so it is a magic story.
I mean, yeah.
Because most of the, successful people, they say, I failed a million times,
Yeah, so I mean, for me, it's more of the thing that I'm quite a perfectionist, and I was studying graphic design, not photography. So a lot of my time and energy went into my graphic design. And then when I finished my course, my mom had said to me, you know what, I've budgeted for another year of studying. So you can either do honors in graphic design, or you can go on to do something else that's going to add value to yourself. So generally, I know that in the industry, in the creative industry, it's not about the qualifications that you have, it's about the skills that you have. So I decided then to go on and do an advanced course in professional photography with Vega. And that's where I really like learned how to harness my skills and moved out of like wildlife photography, because I started with wildlife photography and my lecturers were like, listen, you can't just do wildlife photography. You can't just shoot your girlfriend. You need to start shooting other people. And then, then I started shooting with Shelby and a few other girls. And it just sort of, from like my first shoot with Shelbs, it literally just started going up and up. And then eventually in my second month of offering my services, I was like fully booked. And I was like, what the frick's happening? I even remember.
What year was this?
That was I think it was the end of 2017. Yeah, end of 2017. That was like my first. So basically what I did that year is I was still studying, but all the shoots that I did for paying clients, I sort of used those photos as my projects for university.
Okay, yeah.
So I was just like, used a photo that I took and I like made it match with the rationale and then handed that in. And I actually ended up graduating top of my class.
Sure.
And I was just like, I was hardly at lectures. And then my lecturers would be like, where were you? I was like, I was at a paid shoot. Like, like if I have to choose between learning how to do photography and actually doing the photography, I'd rather choose that. And luckily they understood and they were very supportive and let me use the studio downstairs for my paid shoots and stuff like that. So definitely it was a great like stepping stone for me. And also that year, my mom was covering my rent and gave me a small allowance that I used to pay for food. So all the money that I made from doing the shoots, I put back into my equipment, so that the beginning of 2018, I could just start off fresh and not have to worry about any expenses and just, begin my life as an adult.
It's nice that your mom was obviously there to enable you to chase your dreams and chase your passion. And, starting off with wildlife photography and, a lot of photographers do wedding photography and maybe, bridal showers, that kind of stuff where they, did you ever branch into that? Did you ever like do wedding photography and that kind of stuff?
So I started in wildlife photography. So my family runs a game farm in the Northwest. And for my 16th birthday, I asked for a big lens that I could shoot wildlife photography with. Sorry, my 21st birthday. Okay. I was in university.
Yeah.
And then, I just pretty much like from my mom's veranda, I would shoot the giraffe that come to the waterhole. And I was like, these photos are so good that everyone's going to use me. And then soon realized that wildlife photography is like something that you need to be doing for years and you need to be associated with an organization or something like that to earn a living out of it. And, my lecturers are like, you need to shoot people and people that you have access to. They pushed me away from fitness. They're like, there's not enough people with abs for you to shoot that. And I just said to them, even in graphic design, I said, fitness is my thing. I'm going to keep to it. And that's sort of where like I went with the whole thing. And
But so you said you don't just do fitness. So obviously you do product.
Yeah.
So you've done a lot of stuff with Discam where you've done like their product.
Yeah. So I've shot. Back to your previous question about the photography that I've done. I've shot a wedding video. I've never shot an actual wedding as a photographer. I've done like second shooter to help someone else out. But like my first solo mission was to do a videography. And I think that's where I realized I didn't enjoy videography because it took me like, call it 2 months to actually consider editing this video. Like shooting it was fun. It's loads of fun shooting video because it's all candid stuff and you get to capture the fun moments. But then when it came to editing, I had no passion for it. And I was like, I put it off. And then I think I edited like a decent-ish video. But it was like at that stage that I was like, no, I need to just do what I'm passionate about because I'm not going to live every day procrastinating about doing my work because I don't enjoy doing it. I don't think anyone can work their whole lives doing that.
And why do you think it is that you have a passion for editing photos, but you don't have a passion for editing videos? Is it maybe the photo speaks 1,000 words, or?
I don't know. I think it's more that I'm the type of person that if I'm good at something, that's something that I want to do. And if I'm not good at something, like I'll use the analogy of at home, like I hate cooking dinner or cooking meals in general. And not because I'm lazy, just because I'm not good at it. And it requires a lot of effort and the end result is generally subpar. So I sort of put it off and I procrastinate doing that. Yeah. And so I'm the type of person that I like to, if I'm good at something, I hone in on that and I really give it my all. And that's where my editing for photography it's helped me with that because I've made sure that every photo I put out is like top quality editing.
How is it, having a girlfriend and always shooting, like, how do you deal with that in terms of always, like, or not always, but mostly shooting females? How is that, obviously, having an understanding girlfriend obviously would help with that, but how is it, dealing with that, maybe with past girlfriends that haven't been okay with it or have, or...
Listen, it has been in my previous relationship, it was an issue that came up. Of late, I don't shoot too many like semi-naked women. I do on the odd occasion and stuff like that, but it is challenging for a partner. I mean, even if it was my partner doing the same thing, it is something that you need to really like have a strong relationship for, and you need to be trusting of one another. And the one thing that I am is a very, very loyal person, whether it be in business, whether it be in a relationship. I would never want to screw someone over. So it sort of puts them at ease. But yeah, it's challenging, but at the end of the day, like, you just need to trust one another. And also, if you are on set with me at a call it a boudoir shoot, you'll see how I interact with the models and make them feel comfortable. And like, the last thing that I'd ever want someone to think on a shoot is that I'm perving over them. Yeah. That's not my intentions. And like, someone can be standing in front of me naked doing a shoot, and I'm not going to look at that person like they're a piece of meat. Like, that's my canvas, and I need to create art with it. And I stress more about the lighting than actually thinking about what the model's doing. So just from my side, I know that what my intentions are, and I think that really helps Logs when it comes to this, is that she knows the type of person that I am, and she knows how loyal I am and all of that. So as much as it is an issue here and there, as long as with any relationship, you got to comfort your partner and let them know that your intentions are with them, and you don't have ill intentions with your clients. And as a photographer in general, you should never be trying to hit on your clients or looking at your clients in a perverted way. You know what I mean? That's offsides. Yeah,
I guess it's also in any relationship, you kind of just need that transparent communication. You need to understand that you're doing this not to look at girls, but to further your career, to better yourself, to make more money, and just to benefit and like grow a business.
100%, yeah.
So you mentioned lighting. Yeah. Is that maybe why? Obviously, because you also can't go to a game farm every weekend or every day to go take photos, but is it easier for you to maybe improve and get a better outcome from a photo because you can change the lighting on set, whereas obviously on a farm, on a game farm, in the Kruger, wherever, you can't exactly have perfect lighting all the time.
I mean, that was when I did wildlife photography. That's always the biggest challenge, is that you're waiting for that golden hour. You're like busy rushing around to find an animal to shoot. You get there. As you line up the shot, they start running, and you're like, oh my gosh, now I need to go find another animal. And then it gets dark and your shots are ruined, particularly if you're not using the best camera. So for me, like, I do love using artificial light when I shoot, because I can get the optimum results out of a client. And like, for me, the ultimate goal is to balance lighting when on location. So if I'm shooting on location, like, for me, I don't try and do like creative lighting. I try and make it look like that person found the best lighting in the gym or on location, and that's how I took it. But actually, there's 3 lights that I use to create that illusion. And it's all about balancing the light. So you don't want like an overexposed background and then your model's dark, or your model's overexposed and your background's dark. It's about finding that balance.
Well, I mean, I remember when we did that shoot at Move, it was in the one in Pretoria, where literally the gym was open, there were people around us, you just move the lights, put it up quickly, take the photos, and it literally does look like, not super artificial. Yeah. It looks like I kind of had an amazing camera and were taking pictures in the perfect lighting at the gym.
Exactly. And like, a lot of people come to the shoots and they're like, are you sure this location is the best place to do photo shoots? And I like have my 3 bags lying in front of me. I'm like, no, the lighting is what's going to make the location work. And also it comes down to editing, because I mean, I can give you a raw file and it is going to look like you had artificial lighting, but when I edit the photo, I bring out the background and I make sure that everything's balanced. And I think that's where having a good eye for a balanced photo is very important.
And obviously you said you studied a little bit of photography, but do you think you learned more through, experience in the industry and taking photos and editing them and, those actual paid shoots compared to what you learned at the lecture halls?
Yeah, 100%. At university, they teach you, if you want to call it a baseline, so that anyone can take what they've learned. They know how to use a camera, they know how to use lights, and they can further themselves in whatever niche they want to go into. But they're not going to come to you and be like, okay, you lighting a fitness model, this is the lighting you need to do. You editing a fitness model, this is the lighting. They're going to teach you Photoshop, but when it comes to doing skin retouching, when it comes to color grading and stuff, all of that I had to learn from YouTube. And like when it came to lighting on location, the reason why I can work with such difficult locations when it comes to lighting is because my first job was actually head photographer at Bounce. And if anyone's been to Bounce, they know how dark it is in there. There's trampolines everywhere. The guys are often jumping 5-6 meters in the air. So you have no option but to come up with creative lighting to make it work. And that's where like my first initial experience with lighting and that came from. And I was on my ace, so I literally had to make it work. I didn't have a good camera. I didn't have a good lens. So lighting was everything for me. And yeah, that's where I learned like the basics, and I learned how to deal with like a rough environment where you can't just put lights exactly where you want them.
And you mentioned the camera earlier. You obviously shoot with the Sony.
Yeah.
And why do you prefer Sony? Because obviously, I mean, through some of the companies that I've made, is also obviously now with these cameras, these are mainly Canons, but then there's a Sony over there. So, and I've always preferred a Sony. You know, I've had Canons, I've had Nikons, and I've got a Sony now. And just the processor, the autofocus, all of that, and I mean, I'm not going to claim to, I don't use the camera the same way you do every day. I'm more, into videography, but just the ability that a Sony has compared to the others I've seen is quite a bit superior.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the one biggest bonus is that it's a light camera. The body is not a super big body. So photography can be very taxing on your body, especially when you're in hunched over positions or, getting that tricky shot. So the lighter body, one, makes a difference. You can look through, you don't have to look through the eyepiece. You can actually look through the back screen. And so I can hold it here instead of having to bring it down like that, just from like a functional standpoint. And then when you look at how the camera operates, I mean, the focusing in low light, when I'm in a dark space, and now like super dark, like your phone can't even take a photo there. When I look at the back of the screen, it's like daytime, and that focus point is on the eye the whole time. Without me telling it where to focus, it finds the eye. So before, when I use my Nikon, it would often if you want to say jump focus. So then every 5 shots that I take, there'll probably be 3 that they're in focus, but they're not as sharp as a professional photographer would want it. With the Sony, it's literally probably like 95% of the shots are exactly where I want it to be focused. So ease of use, it's light. The also like the rapid fire on that is incredible. So like all of the action shots that I do, like with my Nikon, I'd maybe spend like half an hour to get one shot. This time I generally get it on the first take, depending if the model's doing the right thing or the lighting's right and all of that. So yeah, it's definitely helped my performance a lot better and made me a lot more efficient. And yeah, I honestly wouldn't go away from a Sony, to be honest with you.
And building a business, because obviously you said you started at Bounce, so you obviously had some working experience as a photographer. At what point did you kind of say, okay, well, if I want to build a successful photography career, I almost need to go on my own? Was it maybe you were just getting more paid jobs on the side that you're like, it's actually more lucrative to do that?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest wake-up calls for me was I went to go to one of Steve Casting's workshops, but not to attend the workshop. I was just buying a lens from him. And when I got there, he's like, yo, bro, just come join in on the workshop and see how we do things. So I hung around there. And then he ended up asking me like what I do in the photos that I took. And I showed him one of the photos that I took for Bounce that was actually going to be printed. I think it was like 10 meters long. And he said to me like, listen, how much did you charge for this? And I was like, I think I charged like 900 Rand for that photo. And he was like, what? He's like, if this was my client, I would have charged him at least 50 grand for that photo. And I was like, shit, actually, he's right. Like these people are using me. I would work for them, call it 3 nights a week, and I'd maybe at the end of the month walk away with like 3 grand. And like, listen, as a student, for 3 nights of work, it's decent. And I was like, I'm happy with that. And when I got the job, I was like, hell yeah. But it came to the point where I was like, there's more money to be made. And the only way to do that is if I actually go out and market myself. And that's where I aggressively went out on social media and did my first marketing campaign and got the people that I needed to shoot. And I mean, if I let me just talk about the marketing campaign, because I think for me that was like the major rocket that launched me into the next league. Was so I looked at the fitness industry and I looked at, okay, what are the supplement companies doing? What are all of the athlete brands, like what are they doing to market themselves? And at that stage, the biggest form of marketing for them was influencer marketing. So as a photographer, like how do you get a hold of an influencer and without a portfolio, let them trust you to shoot them? So what I did is, my girlfriend at the time, I did a shoot with her and I created an advert saying that I was going to be sponsoring athletes, and it's going to be a giveaway. So you need to enter, and then the person that wins will be sponsored with me. I set out a contract and everything, and then I put it up on social media. And initially it was a little bit slow. Obviously there was no portfolio. So I started, I actually sent it to a few people, like, look at my advert, like, would you consider entering, whatever. And I got some really, really great entries. And I was like, shit, there's so many good people here that would make me look really good. Let me add some extra value onto this. So I made like a top 6, so 3 guys, 3 girls. And I said, I'm going to announce the top 6 of this, and each one of those people is going to get a free photo shoot with me. And at the end of the day, yes, it was a free photo shoot, but it also, for me, was portfolio work, which is the hardest thing to get. So I immediately had three girls and 3 guys that I could add to my portfolio that were getting free shoots. But for me, it was actually a free model. And I ended up working with them and created some really great content. None of the guys pulled through for the shoot. They were all like, oh no, we're out of condition.
Really?
100%. And then like some of them messaged me the year after and said, like, oh, can I come for my shoot? Or is my sponsorship still available? And I'm like, at that stage, I was fully booked. So I was like, sorry, guys, it was a competition that you could have, if you trusted me a year ago, it would have worked out for you, but you decided not to. And so I ended up shooting the 3 people, and then Shelby obviously ended up winning, and her and I, we sort of grew our careers together. And then the other girls that I shot ended up actually coming back to me for paid photo shoots because they really liked the work that I did, and they were like, cool, I want that work and I'm willing to pay for it. So I think, at the end of the day, it's not about, for a photographer, it's all about your models, and it's not about just shooting whoever you can, whenever you can. It's about getting the right people and actually utilizing your time and putting value to yourself. Like, it's so important as a creative to have your own value and self-worth, and not like, not just sell yourself to the first person that walks through the door,
I think that's the biggest thing, is because everybody wants a photo shoot. But at the end of the day, you also, like, I guess it goes with anyone. It's like a lawyer. They're not going to pick a case that they know they're going to lose. Yeah. Whereas if you pick someone that like, no matter how much you work, the lighting, whatever, you can't make them look good. And they're not going to be happy. And then they're going to probably spread your name and, give you negative reviews. So it is nice to have that ability where you are able to kind of pick who you work with and who you don't. Mm-hmm. So in terms of what you take photos of now, what is your favorite thing to photograph?
Okay, so at the moment, with Juice Media and how everything's going, I have been focusing a lot on corporate clients. So in terms of portfolio shoots, and when I say portfolio shoot, it's the fitness model that pays me to do their content. I have 2 or 3 people that I work with every 2 months that use their content for their own brands. But then the ad hoc ones, I maybe do like 1 or 2 shoots for them a month, and I really pick and choose who I want to work with, because it's not worth it for me if I'm shooting someone, and it takes a lot of time to edit those photos. And if you compare the time spent doing that versus the time spent doing a corporate shoot, it's just, you can't compare the two. So I really pick the people that I want to work with. And the only downfall for me is that I really enjoyed interacting with all the fitness models. And I enjoyed, like, when I'd shoot someone that I saw great potential in, and maybe they were nobodies, and I'd post their photo on my Instagram, whatever. Like, supplement companies used to go through my Instagram all the time, I'm sure they still do, to look for potential sponsor people. And, I had people, like the one girl, no one knew who she was. I did one shoot with her and I posted some BTS. After that shoot, she got requests from like 5 different photographers wanting to shoot with her. She got a sponsorship from USN and a bunch of different like ad hoc campaigns that she worked on. Her following grew and everything. And, you know, like for me, I really felt like I had a huge impact on her life. And that's one of the things that I really enjoy doing. So currently I'm looking at spending more time shooting portfolio stuff just to help people grow their brands, being more active on my Instagram, because of late I haven't had a need to be, because I don't need to market myself. So just putting people out there and helping the fitness industry grow and make a positive change like I used to. Like that's something that I've really been craving, and something that you lose when you start a business and you focus on just making money to pay bills at the end of the month. Yeah. So that's when I came into this year, I knew that's something that I wanted to go along the lines of. And like starting from this month, actually, I've put more effort into the social media and going and I'm getting people to come in for shoots and all of that. And like that for me is what's going to add proper value to people. And you know, at the end of the day, we're all trying to make a difference in our own lives and other people's lives.
Obviously, everybody knows the answer, but for someone, you know, just giving your photography perspective and professional photography perspective, how, obviously everybody knows be active on social media, but in terms of your side and your point of view, you know, how do you grow? Obviously, you've kind of mentioned it with, you know, doing free shoots and building up the portfolio, but how do you grow your name and build up, you know, a name around yourself as a brand, as a photographer? You know, like if you had to start now, if you had to go back now, what would you do? What would you do different?
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, being a photographer and an influencer is two different ball games. And I think as a photographer, if I had to go back in time, I would probably do the same thing that I did. And that's why I put it out here, because it is a very useful way of getting clients and getting your name out there. And at the end of the day, it's about being consistent. You know, you need to be consistently putting out the best work that you can. I always say to people, you're only as good as your worst project that you've done. And that's why my ethos is quality over quantity. I don't want to go and do like half-ass a photo shoot and then the client's not happy with it and then it goes out on social media and I'm like, oh my gosh, please don't tag me in that. Like that's, and when it does happen, when a client is unhappy with their stuff, that's like the biggest, for me, is the biggest letdown. I would never, like I want people to get their photos and be like, oh my gosh, I can't even believe that's how I look. Like, because that's why you're paying the money for a professional photographer. And then if I have to look at an influencer, and obviously now with the algorithms and everything changing, it's really, really hard to get followers. And I think everyone's experiencing the same thing. So like the most important thing is consistency. And then you need to focus on actually adding value to people. You know, you can't just be this guy that has abs that just posts photo of his abs every day. You know, people, once they've seen 100 photos of you with your shirt off, are going to be like, okay, thanks for that, but I need to go on.
Seen it before.
Exactly. And like you've got the right thing going here where you're adding value through podcasts, where you're getting the right people in to chat about informative issues in the fitness industry and whatever it might be. So adding value to people in the form of education is really important. And the content that you create is super important. And with the technology that we have these days, it's not that hard to create good content with the iPhone. Just downloading a few presets, using them through Lightroom and finding the right lighting is the most important part. Is you get the right lighting, you edit it properly, and there you have not a professional photograph, but it's better than the average photograph. And that is also going to help people look at your content and be like, shit, okay, let me follow this person. Maybe it might not be for education, but you just like the content. And then when it comes to having professional content, obviously it always helps to have professional photos of yourself, but I don't think you should be posting every single day a professional photo of yourself, because then where is the authenticity? You know, people are craving authenticity these days. And I've seen it with a few people where they're posting more videos of them talking and being themselves, and you're making a fool of themselves on their social media. And I mean, those are the people I want to follow. Like, I want to watch your stories and laugh at you, or not laugh at you, but with you. You know, I want it to be entertaining. I want to learn from you, and I want you to add value to my life. So, and I think people are so caught up with like the tits and ass factor, where girls and guys them as well, like, will just post stuff where they look good. And then at the end of the day, we're so desensitized to that, because we've seen it time and time again for probably like 10 years now. We've been seeing the same sort of content, and you need to be absolutely next level for someone to look at you and be like, okay, let me follow this person just for that. So that is not necessarily the only way to do it anymore, and you need to be yourself. And I'd rather follow a beautiful woman that is themselves and can make a joke and have a good time than follow someone that just wants to post photo in their lingerie, or you know what I mean. So authenticity is 100%, like should be top of the list. Authenticity and consistency.
I think at the end of the day, it's the same goes with business. If you want a business idea or you're trying to think of a business idea, you think, what do I need? What is there that I need to, what gap can I fill for myself? What do I want?
Yeah.
What does everyone else want? So that's the same with social media, where you can look, what do I want to follow? What do I see that I find value in? Because I mean, most of the time, other people are going to find value in the same thing. It's just that relatability. It's something that they can look at and be like, yo, that person looks amazing, but they still go through the exact same struggles that I go through. They still go through exact same hardship, turmoil, everything, but they still look like that. Exactly. Then they'll follow you. And also as a photographer, I think it must be difficult in the fitness industry seeing these maybe other photographers who edit photos negatively in terms of photoshopping, like the Photoshop, #Photoshop, whatever, where they kind of, you've seen these people before and photoshoots you've done, you're like, okay, well, her bum wasn't that big, or, his waist wasn't that small. How easy is it for you to look at these photos and be like, I can see that waist is being trimmed or whatever?
I mean, all of my friends know that if they want to know if someone's photoshopped their photo, send it to me, because for me, I do Photoshop all day, every day. So I know when something doesn't look right. And I can generally, 9 out of 10 times, I can tell you with certainty that that's been Photoshopped. Yeah, it's not hard to tell. And guys, it's not worth it. What is the point? What is the point of photoshopping your photos? Like, if you look incredible and then you still go and Photoshop your photos, there's a problem there, and you need to actually take a look at yourself and be like, why am I doing this? It's not adding value to my life. It's not making people like you anymore. It's just about portraying an image that isn't true. And then when people see you in real life, people are immediately not going to want to be with you because you're suspicious. You're not true and you're not authentic, so people are not going to want to engage with you in real life.
What's happening, guys? Unfortunately, while I was recording this podcast with Sean, the power went out. So if you have watched this podcast up until this point, I appreciate it. Sean and I both appreciate the views and the duration at which you have watched. So if you have enjoyed this podcast, we will be uploading episode 2. So please stay tuned for that. If you have any questions, if you've enjoyed this video, leave a like, drop a comment if you want anything further to be discussed, whatever you guys want. And thank you for watching, and part 2 coming soon, and thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye.